Good evening and welcome to Sensual Talk. This is where we explore all things related to sensuality, culture of sex, and pleasure. I'm your host, Emanuela Fernandes. Have you ever wondered about the culture of striptease? What happens behind the scenes? And what are the common misconceptions about the women in the business of seduction and fantasy? This evening we're talking about the truth and the myths surrounding the art of striptease with former exotic dancer Megan Sky.
Hello.
Megan, good evening. Thank you so much for being on Sensual Talk.
Thank you for having me.
I am so excited to have you. I think tonight's discussion is very important. I think we're gonna really bust some myths and we're going to really bring some very enlightening information about the women in your profession, and I think it's very, very important discussion to have. But I also would like to thank Oasis Aqua Lounge for hosting us here this evening, and we also are doing something a little bit different. We actually have a live audience here. So thank you very much for being here. Thank you. Yes. I want to thank Dronish Media for sponsoring this evening's presentation, and I hope that you can stick around. I hope that you can join in the conversation. We want to hear from you. And Megan, once again, thank you for being on Sensual Talk, and I really think that we should just dive into the conversation, which you're absolutely beautiful.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Let's talk, because we mentioned misconception a couple of times. What do you think is the biggest misconception that people have about the art of striptease?
There's so many, so I honestly don't even know, but I think number one is that strippers are considered sluts or whores or that kind of thing. So the thing about that is I don't think that's necessarily true, because if you're a stripper and you're doing your job, the man, what if he's cheating or doing something that kind of makes him the wrong one, and then the woman might get called a whore or something like that. So that's what I get out of that. And also that they're undereducated. That's not true at all. There's some tons of girls that strip that are also at school and pursuing. I'm actually one of them. I went to school twice actually.
Wow.
Yeah, so it doesn't really matter.
What did you do?
I did pharmacy technician and I just finished medical aesthetics, so that's definitely a misconception. I don't even know why it's automatically thought that, oh, you're undereducated, it's strip. Nothing to do with it. Yeah, those are just some things, pretty much.
Amazing. And I mean, there are women who are highly educated, who have career aspirations, and probably some of them who actually consider striptease as their career, which is fantastic.
Absolutely.
Wow, that's very, very powerful. How can striptease empower women as opposed to objectify them? Because I think that's one of the another misconception that people have, that they think that striptease must necessarily to objectify them. Is there any way to empower them?
Empowerment comes from a person, not from their profession. So that's the way I look at that. It's within the woman. Like anybody could be degraded at a normal job even as a woman. So therefore it's like a sexist thing. Like there's probably women who maybe have had problems being degraded in a normal workplace, not just as a stripper. So it's more within the person and not the profession, in my opinion.
That's very interesting that you say that, and and like you said, there are so many women who take pride in what they do and probably are treated better than they are in other jobs.
Yeah,
so this is really amazing. Now, let me ask you this. This is actually very interesting to me. It's a bit of a power struggle, right? So who is in power? Is it the man who is paying for a lap dance or a woman who's giving a lap dance?
I would definitely have to say the woman. That's her territory, and they come to pay to see her, so I'm gonna have to give it to the woman.
I love that, because you would think that it's differently, right? And that's probably where all of those misconceptions come into play. So this is really interesting to me. What do you think is the main reason why men and people in general go to strip clubs? Is it loneliness? Is it entertainment? Is it search for fun? Is it identity crisis? What's the reason?
Number one, well, first of all, it's eye candy, it's visual, that's like a general thing, but the other thing is a man can go to a strip club and look at a girl's tits, and it's not a bad thing, the girls want that, but if you go in public and we're staring at girls' boobs, they can be like, oh, like, is it her? They're in a comfortable environment where there's wanted to stereotypes. Like, you know, being a stripper. It's like, you can look at me and it's not bad. It's a beautiful body.
So it kind of gives permission to the fantasy.
I guess, it's pretty, yeah, exactly. That's what I'm saying.
That's really interesting. That's a very interesting concept. Tell me a little bit more about the culture itself. I mean, what happens behind the closed doors when women are getting ready for the show? I think, you know, we see those shows like Showgirls, you know, and I think striptease has been such a fascinating kind of topic for so many years. But I mean, what happened behind the closed doors as women are getting ready? You know, what do they talk about? Is there joking involved, you know, about the clients? I mean, really, what happens behind the scenes?
It really depends where you work, honestly. It depends on the environment, because they're different all the time. But it's usually pretty good. It's usually the girls get along. I mean, you're all there, you're all in the same hustle. I mean, normally there's always going to be drama, but it's always the same in every workplace. That's what I'm trying to get at. Basically, it's not just any profession has these types of things.
Now let me ask you this: women in striptease, are most of them there to stay long term? Or do most of them have some sort of aspirations to move on to something different?
I think from my experiences, most move on to something different. That's just my experience.
Why do you think that happens, other than the fact that maybe it's age or fatigue? What are the reasons?
Probably age is normally a huge thing, just a stage of your life. I mean, it really depends too on so many different factors. Maybe just different changes in your life, like getting married or something. But yeah, it's different everywhere.
So what happens when a man asks you for a lap dance? I mean, as a professional exotic dancer, what's the most common request that you get?
Strip clubs, I don't find you really get requests. So I do camming, that's more of a thing where you get requests from. But stripping, I don't think it's usually you kind of run the show. You just go back and dance and do your thing, and then sometimes they'll tell you to turn a different way or move a certain way, but that's usually it.
Are there costumes involved? You know, is there a schoolgirl fantasy? Is there a nurse fantasy? Or, you know, what's it like?
Certain strip clubs would have certain nights that they would have definitely costumes, like Halloween, Christmas. So yeah, it makes it more fun too to have different outfits incorporated. So,
yeah, it's fun for you.
I love dressing up. It's fun. I like to, you know, wear sexy lingerie, but like themed.
Right, that's really awesome. You know, I have to tell you my story about striptease. You know, I've gone to a male strip club once, and I'll tell you what was my favorite uniform that they wore. It was a pilot's uniform.
Wow, I love it.
And as I mentioned, we do have a studio audience here, so
yes.
Yes, so it was a pilot's uniform, and I really enjoyed it. So I can see how people would get, you know, satisfaction from watching a woman dressed, you know, not only a beautiful woman, but also dressed in kind of a fantasy. So is there something that is very popular? You know, is a nurse outfit popular?
I don't think nurse, but schoolgirl, yeah. And then like the little Santa outfits are very common.
Santa?
Like Christmas outfits, like different Christmas outfits. It depends on the theme, like depends on the club. Yeah.
So, you know, what's the age gap that, let's say, most men buy lap dances?
Oh, that's a hard one. That also depends on where you work. But I would say probably maybe in the 30s is probably the most common age.
Is it the bachelor parties that attract most of 30-age men clientele?
Yeah, I would think so.
Very interesting. So I know that even though we refer to you as a former exotic dancer, I also know that you still do a little bit of freelance.
Yes. I like to say I'm an occasional stripper.
Occasional?
Yeah, I don't know. That's the way I'm going to put it.
Good, how are you?
So yeah, like sometimes I'll go at different occasions, but it's like I don't do it full time. Just sometimes I want to. I like to try different clubs in different areas, and sometimes that's fun. But I guess that's one of the positive things about that kind of work is you can do that. So that's a thing of freedom as well. It's great.
Today, for the time we go from 11 to 12.
Wow, this is very interesting. I mean, it's so fascinating. But I think that my favorite thing to take away from today's show is the fact that, like you said, women are educated and women have their own aspirations, and you know they are so cultured, you know, and it really, that stereotype and kind of the misconception that people have is really not there. So I love that. Now, what do you say to people who, you know, will think that there's drug culture involved and all that type of stuff? Is that a true or is that a myth?
The thing that I don't understand is that there could be a person that's like your dentist or something that does this, you know, it doesn't necessarily revolve about being a stripper. You know, like the nurse could be a bigger hoe than a stripper, or your doctor, dentist, or lawyer could be into drugs. Same things is very true.
But why do you think the women in the stripping industry, right, in the exotic dancing industry, why do you think there is that stigma attached to strippers?
That's a very good question, actually.
Yeah,
I'm not sure.
I'm kind of throwing you under, you know.
Yeah, no, that's a good question. I would like to.
Yeah. But it's a good one, right? So I just wonder, but I really do wonder if it's mainly just the stigma, because like you said,
but even in the media too, they sometimes show it, so they're like, that's an influence. It's probably just things that you can't even think of that lead us to that misconception. The media is definitely something.
Right, absolutely, and I mean, media is at fault for a lot of misconceptions, absolutely. So are there women who do it for fun, or are there mainly women who do it for money?
Both. It's definitely both. But I mean, I don't know. I kind of like combine both of them. I feel like I do it for money and I do it because it's fun. So.
Right. So you are a self-proclaimed exhibitionist. It's something that you've also enjoyed, right? So that was your kind of...
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. What was the turning point for you when you said, you know what, I'm gonna try exotic dancing. I want to become a striptease dancer.
This is actually a very interesting question because how I got into it, I started with modeling. Like that was my, I guess, open entry into this business, this industry. But I responded to an ad that said go-go dancing, and I'm like, oh, and I've always loved to dance, and I've always loved to, you know, entertain in that sense. So I was like, oh, go-go dancing. Turned out to actually be stripping with this girl. She told me about it after, you know, she couldn't put that in the ad due to it. Sure. And I went with her one night, and I liked it. I'm like, this is really fun, and like, I just had a good time. And that night was about how much fun it was. I didn't even really care about the money, but that's actually how it started. And I just kept doing it. I liked it.
So that was your thing.
Yeah, but it was like occasional. It was not every day or anything like that. It's always been like that, an occasional.
You know, we're kind of out of time, but I have to ask you one last thing. People love to judge, right? And people love to, and I mean, people will judge you if you are, you know, a journalist, if you are a doctor, like you said, if you're a lawyer, if, you know, there are always going to be people who are going to judge you. What about you? What was the reaction like, you know, when you said, well, this is what I do, I'm an exotic dancer?
To my family?
Just
or
to the world, yeah.
To the world?
However much you want to share.
My family definitely does not support it. But I feel like I have a lot of friends that are okay with it. I guess people that are in this industry as well, that I respect what they do. So I guess, I don't know, I just do what I do. It's you know, it's my choice.
And it's your craft, and you're amazing at it.
Thank you.
Absolutely. So I know that you and your partner, who we actually have met, Mr. Mason Haven, you actually, so now you do canning, and you have been nominated for the award. Tell me about that.
Yes, so we've been nominated for XBiz 2018. This is actually our third nomination, and I'm hoping this one's a win. Basically, our fans can vote for us, or anybody, I guess, through Twitter or Instagram. We have links there. I have one in my bio, actually, and it takes like 2 seconds. You can vote for us and tweet it out, and we find out May 31st who the winner is. So it's for Best Cam Duo. I'm crossing my fingers.
Fingers crossed. Hopefully that's gonna happen. Please, please, please go and vote for this dynamic duo. You know, they're beautiful, they're hot, they're sexy. I mean, it's Megan Sky. Anyway, Megan, so much fun. I mean, we can talk about this and explore this, you know, kind of really, you know, I think unexplored culture for days, but that's all the time that we have for today. So I thank you very much for, you know, this really honest and open conversation with me.
Yes.
So I thank you very much.
Thank you.
And if you want to vote for Megan, check out her work, please go to Miss Megan Sky on Instagram, and you have probably other handles.
Yeah,
as
you can
well.
actually watch us live at xxxhaven.com. So you can check out our live webcam shows, and yeah.
Amazing. I really, really hope that people will. And I want to thank Jornish Media for sponsoring this evening's presentation. I want to thank Oasis Aqualanche for hosting us right here. I want to thank the live audience for being here as well. Thank you very much. There's something about having live audience.
I
There's
love it.
really nothing like it. And of course, for more sensual inspiration, go to www.dailysensuality.com. I'm Emanuela Fernandes. We'll see you next time. Thanks, Megan. All right.
Awesome.
Did you guys have fun?
Yes, that was
Yeah?
great.
Okay.
Great.
Amazing. Yeah. Amazing.